I just came back from a week-long vacation, and I have to say, aside from being able to relax for a little bit, it was also a great week of gaming. I played and completed Chronos: The New Dawn, Hell is Us, and Metal Eden. All games from smaller developers, and all games that, while flawed, I ultimately really enjoyed my time with. In fact, I'd say most of the games I've enjoyed this year have all come from smaller teams with sub-$100 million budgets. Not including the games I already listed, I've enjoyed Expedition 33, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, Rematch, The Alters. It's been a really good year for video games, if you ask me, and the AA scene in particular has really become the area of the industry that most excites me. I've been loving seeing these smaller and sometimes relatively unknown teams that take risks with their follow-up projects, even if they're not perfect. We've talked a lot about the AAA industry, and how it has continued to focus on just milking the same brands over and over again. But the AA industry is doing just the opposite. The mid-sized studios are taking risks, delivering a ton of fresh IPs, and in general are the most exciting growth area in the industry right now that I don't think enough people are recognizing. And really, it's not all that surprising to see AA studios exploding at the moment, considering the amount of industry talent that has either been laid off or left the big publishers to go form their own independent studios since the end of the pandemic. I think we're entering a really exciting period for the industry, with both new and old studios taking big swings as the AAA industry stagnates and reshapes itself. Importantly, not only are they making the games they want to make with strong visions, but the leadership of many of these studios are taking their learnings from their time working under the big corporate umbrellas to do things differently, with safer budgets and more efficiency. Hell is Us is from a small team based out of Montreal called Rogue Factor, and I'd wager you probably haven't played their previous two games, Mordheim: City of the Damned, and Necromunda: Underhive Wars. Those two games were turn-based RPGs, using licensed IPs and sold moderately well, but I wouldn't say they put the studio on many people's radars. For Rogue Factor's most ambitious project to date, they built an extremely intriguing original world and utilized a unique approach to quest design, and I very much enjoyed my time with it. Hell is Us received generally positive reviews from the majority of outlets this week. It's an exciting game from a studio finding its footing in the industry and a good foundation for what I can only assume will be a much more refined and improved sequel down the line. Metal Eden is from Recon Games, who released a well-received top-down shooter Ruiner all the way back in 2017. Again, another big step up for the studio, delivering a very competently made first-person shooter that I imagine is going to be one of the sheer sleeper hits for a lot of people that play it. Obviously, you know Bloober Team at this point from their work on the Silent Hill 2 remake, but Chronos: The New Dawn is an interesting next step for a developer previously known for mostly walking simulator-esque games like The Layers of Fear, Observer, and The Medium. Chronos is not a perfect game, and Yahtzee certainly had his issues with it. But as I played the game, I was excited about what Bloober Team will learn from it, taking the feedback they receive and implementing it in what they're going to do next. All of these games were received positively by the press, and I assume most players will enjoy them too. There's improvement to be made in each of them, especially in their narratives. But they all have solid foundations for these studios to improve upon, and I hope they get the chance to do so. I think people have taken for granted just how good games have become over the years, and start banging the death knell when a studio doesn't knock it out of the park on a release. But for me, these are the games and studios I love to support and highlight. I want to see studios with passion and strong vision keep improving their craft, even if their first or even second draft isn't their magnum opus. The Metro franchise is such a perfect example of this. Metro 2033 wasn't exactly a critical darling when it came out. The game had an incredible atmosphere, but was pretty rough around the edges in the gameplay department. However, it sold over 1.5 million copies, and THQ, the one that existed before it shut down and was reborn as THQ Nordic, greenlit the sequel, Metro Last Light. Now the Metro franchise is a behemoth, with the latest entry in the series, Exodus, selling over 10 million copies. It's also one of my personal favorite franchises these days, and one that has been extremely fun to watch grow and improve over the years. If Metro 2033 had been released in the current year under a major publisher though, I don't think we would have ever seen it again. Props to the smaller publishers like Playon, Nacon, Kepler, and many others that are helping to bring these projects to life. I'm coming up on my 17th year covering the games industry, and there hasn't been another point in time that I can recall there being so many studios I was excited to see the future projects from. It's one of my favorite parts of being a critic too. getting to see these studios grow and improve over the years to deliver what might end up being my next favorite game or franchise. The AA scene is giving me a ton of optimism for the games industry that has been sorely needed as the big publishers continue to just swirl the drain on the same aging IPs year after year. I see so much discussion online about wanting new IPs and fresh ideas, and it's the AA industry that's delivering them in spades right now. The developers of Mortal Shell, the Souls-like that got me into the genre, announced a sequel just a couple months ago. The developers of Anatria: The Last Song, a mid-tier Souls-like that I also enjoyed, just announced their next project, La Divina Comida. The team behind the very well-received Ghost Runner series announced Valor Mortis. Owlcat Games, the makers of the Pathfinder CRPG series and Warhammer Rogue Trader, just announced the extremely impressive-looking The Expanse Osiris Reborn. The developers of Pine just released a Nightling, which was a huge step up for the studio, and KC loved his time with it. I could spend an entire video just making a list of studios that are looking to punch above their weight class right now. For all the doom and gloom you see about the industry, the AA scene is thriving at the moment and delivering that excitement that I used to get from the AAA industry when it was still building new IPs and franchises with distinct visions from the ground up on a regular basis.